Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening. Today is Tuesday, the 21st. Thank you so much, Commissioner. It's the 21st of June, ladies and gentlemen. It's Tuesday, and it's slightly after the 6 o'clock hour, 6 p.m., and we're here in the heart of Old Town Conyers at 901 Main Street in the Assembly Hall, and we're calling our Commissioners. I believe this is our second evening meeting of the year. Is that correct, Director Rutledge?
I believe it is.
Yes, it's been a while since we've had an evening meeting, but this is our evening meeting, and we're here. We're calling this meeting to order. There are no special
That's correct.
recognitions or presentations. We will get right into agenda review.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the first item we have is item 278 with the Edgewood Partners Insurance Center Incorporated, also known as EPIC, and the Mike Gases Agency Incorporated. This is through the Talent Management Department for the insurance broker. It's change order number 1 to contract 2019-121. This would be extending the term by 1 year starting August 1st, 2022 through July 31st, 2023, and adding option to renew 2 additional 1-year periods. I will continue to the next item until maybe one of you stop me. Item 279 is with PayScale Incorporated through the Talent Management Department. This is for the compensation and classification software. It's change order number 2 to contract 2019-93. It's to renew the contract 3 years in the amount of $29,450 per year for a total of $88,350 for the 3 years. Item 280 is with ProShock Concrete Incorporated for the Stormwater Management Department. This is for on-call shotcrete and restorative services. It's a unit price not to exceed $537,250. It's for 12 months with 2 1-year renewal options. Item 281 is with Summit Construction and Development LLC through the Stormwater Management Department. This is for the storm sewer system replacement at 3290 Squire Lane. It's an estimated amount of $249,944.75. It's for 12 months for the work to be completed 120 days from the notice to proceed.
That's been a long time coming, as I recall. They've been concerned about that spot on Squire Lane.
Okay. Item 282 is with the Sweeping Corporation of America LLC through the Stormwater Management Department. This is for the street and parking lot cleaning services. It's at an estimated amount of $23,900 per year. This is for 12 months with 2 1-year renewal options.
Who handles that one? That comes on the, yeah, so, okay, all right, we'll move on, keep going.
Okay, thank you. Item 283 is with Kornatzer and Associates Incorporated through the General Services Department. This is for the tennis center lighting upgrades. It's change order number 1 to contract 2022-55. This is a price increase on 72 fixtures at an additional $48,960. The contractor shall also provide insurance and increase the bond amount accordingly, and this is SPLOST funded. Item 284 is with Lakeshore Engineering LLC through the Water Resources Department. This is for the construction of Snapping Shoals Wastewater Treatment Plant construction project. It's change order number 7 to contract 2018-204. This is the final reconciliation change order which covers payment to the contractor and additional time for the out-of-scope items in the amount of $227,290.97, and this is a GFA loan. Item 285 is with Goforth Williamson Incorporated through the Water Resources Department. This is to remove, rebuild, and install 2 service pumps at High Tower Pump Station. It's change order number 1 to contract 2022-58. It's an additional unexpected repairs not seen until the pump and motor were taken apart. This is an additional $3,235 and no extension is required. Item 286 is with Vanessa Hangen Breslin Incorporated, VHB, formerly known as CCR Environmental. This is to the Water Resources Department for the long-term water quality and biological monitoring services. This is change order number 3 to contract 2020-114 in the amount of $33,747, and it's for 2022.
I did have a question about this.
Okay.
How does this work? Does it, where's Derek? Oh,
Deputy
I'm
Director
sorry.
Bogan is, Jameson is representing us this evening.
Okay, well, do you know how it works? And as it relates to the silting and things like that, which have been a lot of people's concern.
Certainly. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Madam Commissioners. This is an annual thing that we're doing that actually leads to the dam. So this is the things that we do per the EPD that looks at the streams, that looks at the lakes, everything that's going into the dam, just to ensure that everything is working properly and that there is no silting and things going like that into there. So that's one of the things that kind of contribute to that, but this is specifically something that we do per the EPD that we do annually.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Deputy Director Jameson. Thank you so much. Next item, please.
Item 287 is with Healthcare Incorporated to the Sheriff's Office. This is for the Inmate Healthcare Services. It's change order number 3 to 2022-98. It's a 3% price increase of current per diem and 1-year renewal in the amount of $2,888,099.96 per year, or $240,008.33 per month through September 15th, 2023.
I just wanted to comment on the services that Healthcare provides, because this is such a huge contract. But they have been phenomenal in the work that they have done in medical at the jail, and not only just with the physical health medical, but with the mental health medical. And they will be providing 24-hour care in the mental health pod when that construction is completed and they move inmates in there. So, but even more than that, they serve on our Stepping Up Steering Committee and work very closely with all the pieces of Stepping Up. Anyway, they really are very good.
Commissioner Washington?
But my question is, that's a almost $3 million increase over the current?
No, that's not the increase. It's a 3%. That amount is a 3% increase over what it was. 3% of over $2 million is a big increase, but.
So how much is the annual increase, though? How much are we looking at?
I don't know. I just know this is the.
It would be 3% of
the $2 million,
2.8 million. So
the $240,000 a month.
Well, that's the overall expense.
All right.
The
If you
overall
multiply.
Never mind.
It will be here. The amount times 97%, won't that give us what the amount was before? Sort of? I'm not sure.
Okay. I just wanted to
So-
see how much we had to adjust.
So here's what we're going to do
For the new contract.
on this one, Commissioner, because this one certainly rings a bell, and all of us is hearing the sound of the bell. We'll come back to this. We'll give Executive Director Lewis, our Chief Financial Officer, an opportunity to work his magic and do his numbers, and we'll come back to that one. So I just gave you a big plug, Director Lewis, and we'll come back to you shortly. Next item, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 288 is with Dr. Arkla T. Allen, doing business as AGAPE Compliance and Professional Development, LLC. This is to the Fire and Rescue Department for Leadership Development Consulting Services in the amount of $51,300. This is through April 30th, 2023, with the option to renew 4 additional 1-year terms.
So I wondered, when I was looking through that, there was a fairly extensive list of all the things that they are providing. And I just wondered who is benefiting? Is this for all the firefighters or?
All of Rockdale County is benefiting. The city of Conyers is going to benefit from this. But what it is, in addition to the leadership training, she's also instrumental in, as we work toward our new ISO rating that's coming up, as well as accreditation. So we're getting 3 for 1, and it's spread it out, and that amount also covers in the event she needs to pull from another resource, as opposed to them tagging us. She's going to take care of that.
Awesome. It looked like a really inclusive,
and it's already off to a great start.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Why the fire needs leadership development when we got such a great fire chief. Guess this complements the.
All right, next item, please.
Thank you. Item 289 is with Terminus Municipal Advisors, LLC. For the Finance Department, this is for professional consulting services for an indirect cost allocation plan in the amount of $9,000. The completion is 45 to 60 business days from effective date.
Can we explain what an indirect cost allocation plan is?
I can definitely explain what the indirect cost allocation is, but before I do that, I'd like to go back to the previous question on the floor with the increase.
Thank you.
The increase in the total contract per year is $279,369.60. So that's a yearly increase of that specific contract. Indirect costs. So indirect costs pertains to our grants. We really haven't redone our indirect cost rate since we started doing grants. And the indirect cost rate is really all of the costs that are not direct costs associated with the grants. For instance, we have technology support, we have our grant management team behind the scenes. All those items aren't items that we directly bill the grantors for, but they have a direct impact on the grant. Talent management, being able to recruit individuals if indeed it is hiring individuals. Those costs aren't necessarily in the grant. We don't have a line item for talent management in the grant when we submit the budget for the grant, but it is what's necessary in order to operate the grant, so to speak. And so those are the indirect costs, and most grantors allow for indirect rate. We have not redone our indirect rate in probably about 10 years, and so we're asking Terminus to come in and take a look at our indirect rate to see if we should be charging a higher rate associated with our grants to support the work that our grants are doing.
Very good. So what I'd like for you to do, if you would, Director Lewis, because you had a very quick transition from item 287 right into the subject about the indirect costs. I'm going to ask that you, now that you've explained the indirect costs, would you please go back to 287 and clarify that so that all that's listening can hear it clearly. Because in that time that I gave you to research it and get it together, somebody was now on the edge of their seat listening. So I want to make sure you give them complete clarity as you deliver what that is, and we don't have to talk about nothing indirect afterwards.
Okay.
Thank you
so
much.
But the question on the floor was an increase in the contract. And so the increase in the contract at this point is an additional $279,369.60 on a yearly basis. So that's the 3% increase that the contract now has.
So this amount is 200 and something $1,000 more than what the contract last year was.
Yes.
So Commissioner Washington, you following the clarity that the director is bringing forth?
I'm tracking.
Okay. All right. Director Lewis, great job. Thank you. All right, next item, please.
Mr. Chairman, if
Yes,
I may, in reference to item 287, if it's the board's pleasure, we can have someone from the sheriff's office present.
I don't.
Okay.
I understand what it, I just wanted to see, it's over $250,000 that we haven't put in our budget. So that's my concern, is that are we gonna have to do a budget amendment? Where are we getting this extra $200 and something thousand this mid-year? How are we gonna pay for a 3% increase on a almost $3 million expenditure? So those were the questions that, and I don't think the sheriff's, I understand the need and that they're doing a great job. The question is where's the money coming from to pay for it? And I know if we say anything about the sheriff's, now if we say we're gonna take it out of his budget, he will be here on next Tuesday to talk about the budget. So those were my actual questions about that expenditure.
Thank you for that clarity, Commissioner Washington. So there's a little bit more work for you to do, Director Lewis, and I'd ask that you would provide that to the board in its entirety following this meeting, okay?
Yes.
Thank you. We won't call you back up for that. Thank you so much. Next item, please.
All right, thank you. Item 290 is a requisition through the Technology Services Department for Dell Marketing LP. This is for the Microsoft Enterprise Renewal in the amount of $400,743.54. Item 291 is a requisition through the Technology Services Department for the Insight Public Sector. This is the Barracuda Networks in the amount of $34,848. Item 292 is a requisition through the General Services Department for solder courtroom furniture for pews and tables for the courtroom. This is for the State Court for Judge Reed. Amount of $28,234.86. This is host funded. Item 293 is a requisition through the General Services Department for Georgia Civil. This is for the civil engineering for Wheeler Park in the amount of $39,000. This is SPLOST funded. Item 294 is a requisition through the General Services Department for Conkle's Tree Service for tree grinding at the Recycling Center in the amount of $24,606.25. $616.25. Item 295 is a requisition through the General Services Department for Hasley Recreation Incorporated for bleachers and canopies for Earl O'Neill Park in the amount of $165,096, and this is SPLOST funded.
So on the bleachers and canopies, the canopies, are they going to be over the bleachers so people watching can be covered, or?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, so we did them on the softball and football side, and now we're doing them on the soccer side.
So
for
the
the other
canopies
sports.
go over the bleachers?
Yes,
Oh,
for
that's
shade
awesome.
covering. Yes,
Yes.
yes, sitting in the sun all day.
Yes, because I sat in the sun all day
With your kids, yeah.
Yes. That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Sanders. All right,
Okay.
next item, please.
Item 296 is a requisition for the Stormwater Management Department for IPR Southeast LLC for trenchless rehabilitation process at the golf crest drive pipeliner in the amount of $26,242, and this is a ratification. Item 297 is a requisition through the Water Resources Department. This is Engineering Design Technologies Incorporated for CE services for Almond Branch Sewer Upsizing and Abbott Lake Pump Station in the amount of $149,740. Item 298 is an expenditure request through Geotab USA Incorporated for the Technology Services Department for a ProPlan Plus tracking plan for September 21st through March 22nd in the amount of $26,182.20. Item 299 is an expenditure request of the City of Conyers for the Finance Department. This is for landfill expenses for December 2021 through April of 2022 in the amount of $26,632.35. Item 300 is a request for surplus of equipment from the Emergency Management Department. Item 301 is with Raftelis Financial Consultants Incorporated for the Water Resources Department. This is for the water and sewer rate study in the amount of $59,820. This is for 244 hours completed by the end of October 2022, and this is submitted for ratification. Item 302 is with the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council through the Superior Court for Adult Drug Court. This is a grant in the amount of $265,816 through July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, and this is a ratification. Item 303 is also with the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. This is for State Court for DUI Court Supervised Treatment Program Grant in the amount of $88,585. The term is July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, and this is a ratification. Item 304 is with the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council through Superior Court. This is the Resource Court Program Grant in the amount of $143,317. The term is July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, and this is a ratification. Item 305 is with the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council through the Juvenile Court. This is for the Family Treatment Court Grant in the amount of $34,723. The term is July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, and this is a ratification. Item 306 is with the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council through the Juvenile Court for Drug Court. This is a grant in the amount of $74,044. The term is July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, and this is a ratification. And item 307 is with the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council through Juvenile Court, Resource Court, and this is a grant in the amount of $67,935. The term is July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, and this is a ratification.
All right. Thank you, Director Rutledge. It appears now, Commissioners, we are down to public comment. Are there any
I have
comment
not received
cards?
it. Oh, there's one red card, but I don't have any. Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and read while we're waiting on Ms. Gellert.
All right.
As a reminder, public comment is limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Comments relative to any issues that are currently going through the public hearing process, matters that are in active litigation, political campaigning, or partisan politics will not be heard in this meeting. Speakers are to address the chairman, not each other or the audience, and are expected to conduct themselves in an appropriate manner. The use of abusive or profane language shall not be allowed. No debate or argument between speakers and/or members of the audience shall be permitted.
Thank you so much. Ms. Gillett, come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm glad to see you back, Dr. Williams.
Thank you.
At the June 7th work session, there was an agenda item 2022-248 for an amendment to a software services agreement. And while this sounds normal, it was anything but normal. There was no Board of Commissioners discussion of the item, and it was included in the consent agenda vote on June 14th, which in effect hides it even more. It is a software module to add a paid hang tag registration system for the recycling center. The website says the recycling center is for the use and convenience of the citizens of this community. It's one of the services that the county provides for the citizens, and now you want to charge to use it. This hang tag will cost $150 a year, $75 if you're a senior, or if you're a hardship case. Why are you doing this now when everything else is going up? Will it be $150 plus 50 cents for a bag of garbage? $150 for $5 for a mattress? Will it be $150 for pine cones and sticks? $150 for a tire or a battery or a flower pot or scrap metal? If a senior is bringing a 50-cent bag of garbage every week, that's just $24 to $26 a year, not $150 or $75 a year. Will out-of-county people be able to use it now? Newton County started their hang tag system about 4 years ago, and ever since then, the littering has increased. Is that what you want to happen in Rockdale County? I am imploring you not to do this. When a business or developer wants to come to Rockdale County, the first department they do business with is planning and development, whether a building permit or a business license, and I feel you are treating that department like a stepchild. A lot of their work is with the volunteer Board of Commissioners appointed Planning Commission. The Planning Commission agendas are not on the website. Their videos are only on Facebook, not even using county recording equipment. The Planning Commission meetings are not publicized. The agendas for the Board of Commissioners zoning public hearings are not on the website or archived anywhere. To me, this is a lack of transparency. All right, every time I see Rep. Tellis on an agenda, particularly for water and sewer rate study, I know it's going to cost me more money. and it usually does, because their current rate plan is expiring this year. So of course, there's going to be a rate study to see what the rates are going to be for the next 5 years. And then I had another question on 292, those pews and tables for Judge Reed. Is he having his court in JP Carr building? And is that where these benches are going to be installed, in JP Carr? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gillett. Thank you so much. And thank you for all that you do on behalf of the citizens here in Rockdale County. I'm going to ask that Executive Director Sanders come up and speak to a couple of these items that Ms. Gillett has raised. And I want to start with the recycling center. Just before she begins to talk, I do want to make mention that here in Rockdale County, we have certain, I believe, community comfort creature comforts that some of the other communities and counties don't have. But Ms. Gillett made reference to the increase of litter. The two of you all know that we've launched a War on Litter campaign back on the 11th of March in conjunction with the City of Conyers. We also have increased our community improvement team and created zones throughout the county so that we can be more attentive to the amount of debris and trash that's going through Rockdale County. So we are really tackling that issue firsthand. But a lot of what she spoke about was really centered around technology and growth and advancement and how we've got to upgrade our systems here in the community and do things totally different. And then the piece about the Raftalis rate study. At the end of the day, the commissioners still have to make the decision. Even when the study is done, we have to make the decision as to when we will implement a new study, if that is really to take place. The fact that they're doing the study keeps us in line with what's going forward in terms of cost and increases. However, at the end of the day, the commissioners have to vote on it as a whole as we decide whether we stay at the levels that we are currently with our water rates, or do we actually increase those rates. I'm going to yield to Director Sanders.
Good evening again.
Good evening.
So the software that was spoken about is for a tag for the cars. We are looking at different ways to reduce the traffic there. If you've been by there on a Saturday, a Tuesday, when they first open, the traffic is out on the street, we'd have to have a deputy. So the tag will allow you to not have to show your license when you go through there. It'll note that you're a citizen. So you cannot use the recycling center if you're out of county. The other piece with that is that we have a lot of commercial people that unfortunately try and go through there, take the magnets off their trucks. So one tag will be for one citizen, and if you lost that, you have to pay a fee so that we're not selling. That tag would be deactivated. So that is the purpose for the tags. You know, we are looking at how we charge and having to take 50 cents and $1 per person as they come through. It slows the line down. We have 3 employees there. So, but initially that software is to institute the tag system to prove that you're a resident.
Thank you so much. I'm going to hang tight, Director Sanders. I'm going to yield to both of the commissioners if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about the recycling, the tag proposal.
So address the $150 and $75.
We are looking at a plan to do a yearly tag, but that has not been brought before you. I have to bring, a policy amendment, and so you haven't.
No, we haven't.
Yes,
discussed that.
That has not.
So at this point, all we're talking about is just buying the equipment.
Yes.
People have to verify that one time that they're a citizen, they get a tag, and that's it.
And we can read it with a barcode scanner to speed up the line.
Yeah.
And the policy amendment would come before you all and would have, 2 board meetings where it'd be read.
Okay.
So in essence, as we know, Commissioner, a decision has not been made as to whether or not we're going to actually implement that. This is merely a proposal. This proposal includes new software, technology. It also talks about the safety factor and the issue that we have on Sigmund Road. But it's still, again, up to the commissioners ultimately as to whether they want to implement these fees associated with the proposal, or perhaps come up with a totally different fee. That lies in the lap of the commissioners. So it is a conversation, it is a concern, as we've heard, but nothing has been decided on at this point. Okay. All right. Thank you, Director Sanders.
Did you want me to talk about the pews?
I do want to talk about those pews. Yes.
So The last board meeting, you approved the lease for some space for the district attorney, which is the other half of the facility that we rent for the public defender. So that is grant funded through ARPA, and that she will remove her employees from the 3rd floor of the courthouse, and we will be renovating that area that the district attorney's office is vacating as a temporary courtroom for Judge Reed, until we can build a government complex. And that will alleviate the sheriff's office having to secure JP Carr, because there are concerns there if you're bringing in people. It's not built to be a courtroom. Right. Traveling for all the offices, the district attorney, the clerk of courts, and also the jurors. That was a concern. Like, how are we going to tell them where to go if there's a change, things like that. So this is to actually renovate up on the 3rd floor for the judge to be in the courthouse, which is secure.
Commissioners, any questions on that piece?
No.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Director Sanders. Commissioners, it's no secret that we're out of space. When we talk about space and logistics all through the county government, and all of our various different offices scattered throughout Rockdale County. As the county continues to grow and we bring on different talent to make sure that we can address the needs in the county, the demand, not just a requirement, but I really believe it's a demand for additional space. When we talk about some of the current spaces that we're currently operating in, they are just antiquated, outdated, obsolete, any other word or adjective or adverb you can use to describe the fact that we're way behind the 8 ball. The need for the government complex and the administration facility will take us where we need to be. This county has simply outgrown where we are. I encourage all of our citizens who are watching and listening, who does have concerns and have expressed their concerns, to schedule an opportunity to go over to the courthouse and actually see the spaces and talk with those folks. I think it's quite embarrassing that the demand for our caseload requires and demands that we have an additional state court judge, but we actually have no place to put him. When you talk about safety and security from the sheriff's office, as the director pointed out, JP Carr is not erected, is not a courtroom, it's not a courthouse. You talk about the safety of people that are there for judicial process, jurors, anybody participating in the process. That's just not the ideal place. And for someone that doesn't understand safety and security and the logistics involved in that, they just easily say, well, you just have it at JP Carr. Well, it's really not just that easy when you talk about securing the premise of a facility, which is a part of the reason, a portion of the reason as to why we're expanding this government complex. We've run out of space over here, and when you talk about safety and security, we're just not there anymore. Lord forbid we have any incident. I always reference the Nichols incident down in Fulton County. We certainly don't want to put ourselves in a situation like that. So sometimes on the front end of things, the word change certainly stands out first, and it's sometimes difficult for people to digest change and see it. But in the long run, they learned that it was some of the best decisions that we can make to move the county forward. We've got to do it. We're completely out of space. And before I yield just to Commissioner Washington here, let me just remind everybody, because oftentimes our citizens who come into the administrative building here at 958, they don't get past the first floor. And if they don't have the opportunity to visit the Planning and Development Department to see the beams that are holding up the structure and maintaining the integrity of our building, they have absolutely no clue of what we're dealing with in terms of, and Director Rutledge, I think that I've been schooled enough over the years, but is my math correct that the county government back in the day bought this old church back in 1996? Was that the year?
We bought this in 2000.
In 2000? Well, still a long time ago.
Yes.
It's 2022.
It's still old.
Oh, 22. Okay, that's a long time ago. So my point is that we've outgrown where we are, and we've got to make some moves. Commissioner Washington, you had a thought on that subject?
Well, I just wanted to further address the security issue with JP Carr. Judge Wood sat on a judicial safety committee as part of the judges conference that they went to, and she has gone through the training on everything that is supposed to happen as far as keeping the judges safe, the jurors safe, the citizens safe, the inmates safe. And her assessment is that Rockdale County is barely scraping the bare minimum, and it's even worse because we have JB Carr, because that, like you said, that building isn't secure. It's not supposed to be a courthouse. So, you know, I think we're beating a dead horse at this point, saying that we need more space, but moving Judge Reed over to the courthouse, that just makes sense all the way around, because he deserves whatever protection. The people that are going to court deserve the protection, and the jurors darn sure deserve protection when they have to make a decision regarding somebody's life or livelihood. So I just think that we all need to take these things into consideration when we are, number one, thinking about the courthouse, but number one, thinking about why we need to move Judge Reed over to the courthouse. It just makes all the sense in the world to me.
Commissioner Williams, any thoughts on that one?
Ditto.
Okay. All right. Well, I agree. And I think that when you factor in the liability and the risk associated with everything Commissioner Washington said regarding safety and security, the liability will cost this county way more than being proactive with what we're trying to do as the county has grown, and we're having to move in a direction that embraces the growth of the county, and not just for the current growth, but for future growth in Rockdale County as we continue to grow. All right, that was it with public comment. I'm just going to go right on into board comment, and I'll start with you, Commissioner Washington.
Sure. Well, of course, this weekend was it felt like a whirlwind of Juneteenth activities. I was actually in Newton County, but Springfield did an outstanding job with their Juneteenth activities. They had vendors, they had playgrounds for, I wish I didn't bring KJ, because, you know, I had to scope it out first, make sure that it was grandma friendly. But they had a place for the children to play. They had fireworks, they had food, they had everything. So it was really, really good celebration. They had a storyteller that told stories of slavery, of emancipation, the whole thing. They had African drummers. They had the Buffalo Soldiers. It was outstanding event. So I wanted to give thank you to Reverend Lee, Pastor Lee, and his and all of Springfield for outstanding Juneteenth activity. Of course, like I said, I went to Saturday. I was in Newton County, and they had their inaugural Juneteenth parade, and that was a whole lot of. I wasn't in the parade this time, but I was on the sidelines taking a whole lot of pictures, and they also did an outstanding job. I did want to really in our leadership development training, we're talking about leading change. And Colin Powell said, change goes down, up, and lateral. So when we're leading change in Rockdale County right now, I think we're on the cusp of change in everything we're doing. We're changing location of our house by doing the government complex. We're changing it. So I think that's hard. So we have to have a clear vision of what we want, what we need, and it has to go down. We need to get feedback, so it goes back up with the feedback. But the lateral part, everybody needs to know what everybody else is doing so that everybody buys into the change. So that was just something that I thought was very interesting. Like I said, everybody really should take this course, because the nuggets from General Powell are unbelievable, because he gives his stories about how these things have affected him. So really, that's all I have for today. And
wow. Okay, Commissioner Williams.
Well, first off, I just want to say in a hurry that if you have not voted today, you have about 18 minutes to get to your polling location. So I hope everyone took time to participate in this runoff election, because that's those runoff elections are really critical, and they're usually decided by just a very few people. So mostly I just wanted to share about our participation in the Convening County Court and Justice Leaders Project, which is sponsored by NACO. And we had our kickoff meeting today. It was a national kickoff. They chose 10 counties across the nation to participate in it. And so, you know, there are people all the way to the West Coast and the East Coast and in between participating. But we have already met with them, Rockdale County has twice, because we meet once a month with their team. Okay. And so there's several goals that we have laid out as important for Rockdale County. One is to identify the best model for a diversion center that will suit our community. Another is to make sure we're collecting the right data to measure performance. Another is to think through the development of a department or entity for criminal justice strategies and policy guidelines. We've talked about that before. And then the last one is to discuss ideas around the sustainability for a diversion center and how to manage that. The proposed project goal for us is to establish a justice system priorities for the county for the next 3 to 5 years. So it's a strategic plan around those areas that I just talked about. They've put out a timeline, and July through November will be to draft the strategic plan, get feedback, summarize the priorities and the actions, and then January will be finalizing the strategic plan. So it's a work in progress, but there's a real, you know, set timeline and direction for where we're headed with this. And you know, it was really helpful today to hear what people in other counties across the nation are doing and how they're approaching it. Although no one had a specific center for law enforcement to take people, none of these 10 counties, but another county, that was also their goal. Part of our planning of reaching those goals is to do site visits. We did one I think in May. We went to Chatham County and looked at their diversion center and the model that they have. We have one being planned for August to go out to San Antonio. The one in San Antonio is like the premier in the country. Wow. I mean, they are the ones that kicked off the Stepping Up initiative in 2015.
You know, I told Jeremy that we try to take crowns here in Rockdale, meaning that we want to be number one when we finish ours.
Well, and we can do that because we're a lot smaller than San Antonio, and we can set the tone for what other smaller counties can do. But they really have the entire overall program that which includes housing, it includes taking care of the homeless that don't want to have services but want a safe place to sleep. They have medical, they have dental, they have mental health services. They even have out there a place for if someone who's homeless has a pet, they have a place that their pet can stay, a kennel. And then they, of course, are responsible for the pet during the day. And so I'm excited to go. I've been once, but it's been 7 years since I went before, so I'm excited to go again in August. Those are my comments.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Washington. Any additional thoughts?
Just to reiterate that it's time to go vote if you haven't voted. So that's it. That's all.
Thank you so much. I want to believe that at this late hour you've already voted.
We voted. So we
Early.
voted as a family.
Early voting,
and
okay.
We voted. We posted pictures. KJ got his little sticker.
All right, very good.
Oh, Alvy got his sticker. Alvy is John's service dog.
Okay, all right. Well, I do want to highlight the fact that it was a really high positive activity weekend with all of the Father's Day. I want to talk about the Father's Day festivities first, because see, Father's Day has been on the calendar for years. I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to the fathers and talk about that first, and then I'll talk about another holiday in just a second. Because fathers, I just want to get that, bring some clarity. A lot of times these meetings are about clarity. So Father's Day, a lot of the different organizations and all of the churches across Rockdale County were celebrating and paying salute to the fathers, and we certainly do salute all of our fathers and hope that all of the fathers in Rockdale County had a fantastic Father's Day. And because we are who we are as fathers, we continue to accept gifts even beyond Father's Day. So if you just didn't make Father's Day, it's not too late. Academy Sports is open. They're open over at Home Depot, the Men's Warehouse. They have nice summer hours now, and they even take gift cards to some of the barbershops.
Do they have registration? You know how you can register for gifts?
For the fathers? No, we don't get into we're not that picky. Oh. We're not that picky. We're not that picky. We're appreciative, but not that picky. So you want to keep it simple. Now there's another holiday I want to talk about that was highlighted throughout the weekend, and it was Juneteenth. Juneteenth was celebrated on almost every corner of Rockdale County, through and through and through. And again, I'll echo what Commissioner Washington said. Big shout out to Pastor Lee and the members over at the Springfield Baptist Church. They did a blowout Juneteenth event. Also over to Precision Collision on Irish Drive. They did a big Juneteenth celebration as well. I mean, there was multiple events.
I went over there.
Okay, there were multiple events all throughout the county that was celebrating. But the thing that I really did appreciate is the level of education, I think, and that's what Commissioner Washington talked about, the level of education that Pastor Lee put in, making sure that the large and massive crowd understood the very essence, the history, the legacy, and the heritage of Juneteenth. So that's always very, very important. So we had a great weekend, and all of the young people really appreciated the fireworks. Chief Mack over at Springfield, they had a great time. The weather was perfect, absolutely. I do want to segue into the weather. As you all know, if you keep it up with it, first of all, it's June. It's supposed to be hot. It's not supposed to be 32 degrees. It is supposed to be hot. However, we want you to remember to be hydrated. Make sure that you're hydrated, and particularly for those seniors, you want to make sure that you check on the senior citizens in our community. As I stated a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, a heat stroke doesn't have an age limit. So you have to make sure, regardless of your age, if you have young people participating in summer sports and athletics, make sure, because it seems like each year we hear a bad story on the news where some young person has died from some type of heat exhaustion or stroke or what have you. Make sure you're communicating with the local coaches and all of those churches who are having vacation Bible school activities, that you maintain a safe environment with our young people, because people are moving about and this heat is very, very hot, and the humidity as we go through the remainder of this week, and I think the remainder of the summer in terms of the heat that we're dealing with. I also made mention to folks being alert from a safety conscious standpoint. There's a lot of things happening in and around the metropolitan area. That includes Rockdale County. Take nothing and nobody for granted. If you see something that's out of order, say something. Or dial 911 if you have to. But be alert about your coming and going, and be alert about your surroundings in and out the community. I also want to take a moment, Commissioners. I don't know whether you all get this or not, but I get it. Seems like a lot. First of all, we are Rockdale County. What am I saying? I'm glad you asked. We have a website. We have a county website. We have most of all of the information about what's going on in the county government posted, listed on our website. For those folks in our county who subscribe to Comcast cable or Xfinity cable, you can tune in to Channel 23 to find out what's going on through our public relations department. There are people who will talk about the fact that they don't know what's going on in the county. They don't get any information. Well, the first thing we encourage you to do is go to the website, visit the website, and check out what's going on and ask questions. You can always, the beauty of Rockdale County being one of the 11 metro counties that make up the metropolitan area is that we are still a very intimate community. You can still call 770-278-7000 to the switchboard, and our switchboard operator will gladly point you to the right department and or person to give you answers and help with answers to your questions and concerns that's going on here in Rockdale County. I really want to say to all of those citizens, Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Washington, that participate in our See Something, Say Something program, because we get a lot of calls. And I have to say to Director Johnson and Mr. Doug Chandler, who heads up our code enforcement, he and his team, in fact, he heads up code enforcement and community improvement. They are responding to calls every day, and they are cleaning up the community, moving throughout. We've expanded our forces and to make sure that Rockdale County is as aesthetically clean as possible with debris and trash moving about. I think, Commissioners, we do need to hear and take into deep consideration as we move forward with this decision regarding the recycling center, and make sure that as we move forward with both technology and a rate system that will relieve the safety problem that we have on Sigmund Road, that we look at making sure that those rates are conducive for the time that we're living in right now. I don't want to glaze over that. That is a concern. But I do want people to realize that things are changing. This community is growing, and we're changing in so many ways. There's a challenge all across the country with recruiting public safety personnel, whether you talk about firefighters, EMT, ambulance drivers, and certainly police professionals with both the sheriff's office and the police department. And we also deal with some of that in some of our other departments here in Rockdale County. We're competing with other municipalities and other county governments to make sure that we get the best of the best. In order to do that, we have to make sure that our salary and compensation is where it needs to be so that we can compete with other surrounding areas. But it's a different time now. It's a different workforce. Talent is very demanding in different ways, and we have to think differently than we did in the early 2000s and even in all of the 90s and the 80s, because the workforce and the talent that is coming forth today has a different set of requirements. And honestly, employers have to meet people in the middle. So to all of our Rockdale County employees and all of our departments, we certainly do appreciate you. We appreciate the work that you do and the responsiveness. And I don't want to miss giving I guess another shout out to our water department. Commissioners, you all are both familiar with the fact that the Millstick community erected as a community in 1902. It was a historic Millstick community. We had another water main break over there this past weekend, but I must say to Deputy Director Jameson from RWR and the crew, the quick response from our water department, the on-call personnel was there. They did not leave the scene until the mission was accomplished and completed. And the citizens was very, very appreciative. The citizens that actually called and texted us, they actually called back. And two things they said, Chief Cable, was that they were appreciative of the quick response and the fact that we were able to dispatch our people over there in a timely manner, but to be able to get the job done. And we notified them at point of completion. We called them back with the follow-up and the follow-through to let them know that we had completed the job and that we're monitoring. Millston is one of the oldest, if not, Director Rowland, the oldest community in Rockdale County that I'm aware of as an organized community itself from 1902. Sometimes when you look up or perhaps Google Millston, you realize that it's really listed as a city or a township of its own when it's truly a community that's centered around the old Callaway Mills back in the day. But the infrastructure is what I really wanted to talk about. The infrastructure over there is very, very old, and a lot of the work that has been done, our teams are having to go in there and redo some of that work. Chief Mack, I want to call on you for a second because I think you've got some good news about some of the recruiting process and the challenges. I just talked about the difficulties with getting and retaining public safety folks, but your team have really moved into action to get us some new recruits.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are allowed at 131 fire personnel. We actually have 109, which means sometimes we have fire trucks with 2 folks on it. And an example I give that NFPA 1710 makes the recommendations for fire departments nationwide. And the recommendation for a single family home, that's most of our homes, is 20 persons to mitigate that fire. For us, we can get to 14. But for us to get to 14, it takes about 5 pieces of equipment. We only have 9 stations. It means we only have 9 engines. So if 5 of them are at your house, what's going on for the rest of the county? So then we couple that because we're having pieces of equipment with 2 persons on it. We need at least 4. So trying to get those numbers up, even though we're hiring, we still need more numbers. We still need to increase to make sure that we have 4 persons on that piece of equipment. So for firefighter safety as well as protecting Rockdale County and City of Conyers. Having said that, I'm excited that we already have hired 7 folks already, and on the 27th, we have another 14, possibly 15 starting. 14 for sure. We're interviewing another person tomorrow. So hopefully successfully they are complete, and that means that they'll bring us to 131, but it's not enough. But we are out there. And so we've been working on an aggressive recruitment plan, and we have some things in store for you for that, and we're really excited about it.
Well, I certainly appreciate your efforts, Chief, and your recruiting because it's a challenge of what you all have to do to recruit and, again, to retain the talent that we need to be able to get. I clearly got it when you painted the picture about having 5 different pieces of apparatus out at one scene, and it basically leaves the rest of the remainder of the county vulnerable. One of the things that we are excited about, again, is not only the recruitment efforts that you make, but a lot of folks may have paid attention to the basically the coming soon sign of station number 10 down on Highway 138 North, right next to the North Rockdale Baptist Church. As you know, that particular area has been without coverage in terms of fire service for as long as we can remember. We've had to rely on both Newton and Walton County for mutual aid. But for those residents that live in the northern district of Rockdale County, this is a big deal. I made mention to that, Commissioner Washington, simply because certainly we cannot erect a fire station and not have apparatus and firefighters to house inside of it. It does us no good to have an empty fire station down there and not have enough vehicles, apparatus, and fire personnel to be able to house and go in there. So the plan, although we have SPLOST funds that's going to assist us with it, as the Director of Finance talked about, there are so many indirect costs that are not associated with the SPLOST funding that you still have to go out to be able to suit a building and cut a ribbon and open it up to a community, and then you can begin to have service out of that. Commissioner Washington.
I just wanted to, a lot of people don't understand what having a fire station in a community does for their insurance rates. Could you explain that?
Absolutely. So if you look at your policy, some of it's based on you should be 5 miles or less from a fire hydrant. Same for a fire station. And so for those folks up on the north side of Rockdale County, the closest station is either 1, which is up at 138 in Sigmund, or Station 5, which is over off that West High Tower Trail. So once that station is erected, it also helps us with our ISO, our insurance office rating. Right now we are a 3, and we're looking to get evaluated later in the year. Having that station is going to be twofold. It's going to be good for the people in that area when they say how, because they ask you that, how far are you from a fire station? How far are you from a hydrant? they'll be able to say, hey, I'm 5 miles, because right now they're way outside of that. And also, when we do our ISO rating, it helps us get a better rating, which also helps the amount of money that you're paying for insurance. So it's a big deal.
All right. Well, Chief Mack, keep up the good work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Commissioners, I don't have any additional comments tonight. I'm going to yield to Director Rutledge. Director Rutledge, is there any need for executive session this evening?
No, Mr. Chairman.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Gillett, thank you for always coming out and providing your comments. This meeting is adjourned.